Welcome to the WordPress Photography Podcast, the podcast for photographers who want to learn how to get the most out of WordPress to grow their photography business. You don't need to be a geek to understand WordPress. Settle back and listen as we show you how. Now, here's your host, Scott Wyden-Kivowitz.
Welcome to episode 57. My name is Scott Wyden-Kivowitz, and I'm joined by my guests, Phillip and Eileen Blume. I'm really excited to have them both here for many reasons. This is the first time we're finally talking face-to-face, and let's just give you a little bit of, about the two of them. So Phillip and Eileen Blume are award-winning photographers and filmmakers, just crazy enough to believe that art can change the world. As owners of 3 unique photography brands specializing in wedding and portraits, the Blumes seek not only to celebrate life, but also to reclaim lives through humanitarian projects. Whether speaking at top industry events across the country, like WPPI, presenting at TEDx stage, or interacting with students inside ComeUnity photo workshops at their private studio, these world-changing industry leaders champion change making through creativity. They live with their children in rural Georgia, where they love hiking, good conversation, and spontaneous dance parties. So you never know. If you're watching this episode instead of listening to the episode, you never know what might happen. Oh boy. So welcome to the show, guys. I'm really excited you're here, as you know. Yeah. You as well. So you just got back from WPPI and then apparently a big babysitting thing.
We have lots of nieces and nephews.
So
exactly.
You're exhausted.
This has definitely been one of those big years of transition for us, and I think that all of us experience this in our business, and it doesn't change no matter how long you've been doing what we do and kind of find your rhythms. The past 2 years really for us have been huge life transitions. And so what used to be, Eileen and I as newlyweds working together, shooting everything together, editing everything side by side. And now over time, we've learned to kind of delegate tasks between us and balance things. So Eileen was for the first time after several years speaking at WPPI, Eileen stayed home to be with the kids while I kind of went there and had the opportunity to meet a lot of the photographers and people who we've known online and speak at that event. And then got home. This has also been a year where we're trying to say yes more and more to our family and kind of keep business in its arena and be there for our family as well. So yeah, we were babysitting cousins of our children, our nieces and nephews on Eileen's side, and then a family of cousins on my side, back to back, big families. So like 5 kids added to our group, all at the same time. It was fun. But if you hear my voice leaving me, it's because I've been yelling at a lot of kids, right?
Yeah, it's fun when you get all that family together for an extended period of time. Exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Exhausting, but fun.
Yes.
So
good tired.
Awesome. Yeah, good tired. So before we move into what's going on with you guys, what you have coming up and things like that, let's talk a little bit about WordPress photography related news. Big news is that a new beta of Next Gen Gallery, the redesign, is available for download and feedback. It's likely the final beta before it's released. The release date is probably sometime in April if all things go well, but I will link to in the show notes, I'll link to where you can go and download the beta, see before and afters of the redesign, and you can test it. Both Next Gen Gallery, Next Gen Plus, and Next Gen Pro are all available for testing. Of course, Next Gen Gallery is free, so the beta is free for anybody. But if anybody who's a Pro or Plus user and wants to test those betas, you can download those when you're logged in. WordPress now powers 30% of the internet. 30% of the internet. Just a couple months ago, it was 28%. So you can see the rapid growth it's getting. Every time I share news about its growth, the numbers are jumping higher and higher by more than 1% each time. So it's really nice to see 30% of the internet now powered by WordPress. And the last bit of news is Yoast SEO has had a major overhaul, and the most popular SEO plugin, one of the most popular plugins ever, version 7.0 is now out, and they simplified the interface big time. There's a lot less options, And what they've done is they sort of combined multiple things to make it so that you don't have to think about it as much. Right out of the box, it is optimized for majority of people, a majority of sites, but you can still tweak a bunch of things, of course. But they've simplified it big time, just a bunch of on-offs, yes, no's, and again, a lot of things like you won't see the sitemap settings anymore. They've removed it to automate the process, and it's now combined with whether you want something indexed or not. So if you say, yes, I want all my blog posts indexed, not only are they going to be indexed, but they're also going to be in the sitemap. If you say no, they won't be in the sitemap and they won't be indexed. There's no reason for those to be separate, so the Yoast team merged them together. All right, three bits of news. So, Phillip, Eileen, tell us what's going on with you guys. What do you have coming up? What's the good stuff going on?
Now I'm kind of distracted and excited by the news because Eileen and I are so non-technical. Yeah, I feel like we fell into having to learn all of this stuff for our business, like many of us, listening here probably. Yeah. But we did just like weeks ago. Finally started thinking the SEO might be important after a decade of work. And so a big expert in the SEO field who I've had the pleasure to get to know a little bit, Keith Brees, recommended that Yoast plugin for us. And I'm just happy to know that it's becoming easier because those things intimidate me. But yeah, I've already been using that. And yeah, looking to the future in the coming year, we're excited that besides a lot of the conferences we've been speaking at for years, we got our first, in fact, it's sitting right in front of me. Woo, we got our first invitation to speak at Imaging USA.
Nice.
And so PPA is, one of these great nonprofit organizations that's been around since photography began. So that's exciting. And I think our big projects going forward this year are, like I said, we're not very technically inclined. So we've always loved in-person workshops, and that's how we've met all of our students over time. And this is the first year that we're really diving in with a lot of online courses and being able to reach out and meet and work alongside a lot of you photographers who maybe haven't had the chance to work with us in a workshop at a convention or in person at our studio or something. So that's something I'm actually really excited about, especially since we've got help to do it. We couldn't put it all together on our own, that's for sure.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. And congrats on the imaging invite. So that's pretty big. It's nice that they sent a formal invitation.
Oh man,
pretty cool.
They're so classy. They do a good job.
That's awesome. All right. So let's dive into some WordPress discussion here, or just website discussion in general. So one of the things what we were talking about of what can we talk about on this episode with you both is how to sell with your website. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I'm assuming you're meaning like sell without selling, how to sell just naturally, right? Were you going in a different direction?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, our websites, I think in the past, we would always have described websites as the storefront for your business. And that was a pretty apt description. It's important that a lot of us don't have brick and mortar studios. Even if we do, what most people are passing by and searching for us is online. And so at the beginning of our business, this is 2008 or something. Our whole business sort of took shape on accident because, Eileen was working at Starbucks. I was a high school teacher, and we were both photo, as a hobby for us, our photography. But a friend asked to look at some of my portfolio pictures because she was getting married and kind of wanted a cheap wedding photographer. So even though I wasn't a professional yet, she wanted to look at the work. And Eileen is the classic overachiever. So she went, instead of emailing these pictures to the friend to look at, she created our first little website, just hacked it together. It wasn't probably too easy. Kind of had to figure out a little bit of
visually, but I just wanted just a place that she could actually go to online and view the work. So did that quickly.
Makes sense.
And so after she did that, this is 2008. To our shock and amazement, we started to get phone calls from strangers as well. And it was a little bit easier back then, I think. If you had a website, not even everybody was there yet. Some people were still in the yellow pages, right? So I think that really helped boost us. But then that's not the world we live in anymore. Your website can't just be your storefront, because there's so many storefronts. You know, you're in a sort of a shopping center complex now of every photographer's online, and people are just gonna, you have a beautiful storefront, but you're gonna walk on by. And so what we realized, not from a technical point of view, but very much from a human psychology, marketing psychology point of view, is that you can't just stand out and succeed by the quality of your work. There's plenty of people doing beautiful work, plenty of people who I admire, who I aspire to do work at, at the level that they're doing it, but who even with that level of work aren't succeeding from a business point of view, because they're not doing the marketing side as well. So on the other hand, there's people who have very mediocre work who are killing it, and really their businesses are thriving. So I would love to continue to pursue the quality of art on a personal level, but also make sure that right away I'm doing whatever I can to make my business thrive and support my continued growth and learning. And so what's very important to us was going in, and what we just recently, within the last months, relaunched our new website. And it's very different in the sense that I think traditionally our websites have had maybe a landing page, and maybe with a slideshow of photos on it, and then there's a link to go to an about page. And how many people really end up on your about page? It's kind of hidden in the back. But really, we started to restructure things from looking at it from a human marketing psychology point of view. We really have to sell ourselves now, not just sell the quality of our work or say we're the best. Everyone's on, holding up little signs saying, "Choose me, I'm the best." But if you can sell yourself and connect to your potential client on a personal level, sort of find some values that you have in common, find out who your ideal client is and appeal to that, that really sells you, which is what you have to sell before you sell anything else.
So we moved our about section to our homepage. So when people go to theblumes.co, they see our faces on there, they hear our story, and that's something that they can connect with right away.
That's great. That's great. And did you put that towards the top, or did you put it towards at the bottom, like after some photo examples or anything like that?
At the top, right?
Yeah, it is. So if you go to our website, it's much more, the website we had for about 7 or 8 years. And it worked. The amazing thing was it worked. It's like we had built this WordPress back at the time, pro photo theme, easy to put together kind of website for photographers who had no idea what they were doing with their website. And that sufficed for many years in terms of at least we had a presence. But yeah, what we have now is maybe like a banner that has our logo, the branding, some of the imagery, but just immediately below that, we're not. We changed everything. We used to be Blume Photography, and even details like that, we decided we need to personalize that more. We want to appeal as a business, as people, not just you hear Blume Photography and you think it's a business. You don't know how many photographers are part of that. You don't know if it's a national chain or photo mill. So we changed that to the Blumes. And that's really the whole spirit we wanted to give the new website, was you're connecting with us as a couple. And so you're going to immediately see our faces and learn about our story as the most important thing on the page.
Right.
I definitely think that when it's a couple, right, that's the photographers of this business, this whole approach totally makes sense. It is definitely the way that photographers should be thinking now. It's going to be a little bit more difficult when it's a wedding business with it's just a single main photographer who owns the business and then like 9 associate photographers or something. That's a little bit trickier, but still doable. But when you're just a couple, and even if you have associate photographers, what you're doing is definitely the best approach, in my opinion, as well, because you are definitely personalizing it from top to bottom, which is a great thing to see. So tell me about a mistake that you've made more recently since you've redesigned your website, since you've sort of rebranded, and a mistake that you don't want others to do.
Sure. Yeah, Eileen is the one who fixes all my mistakes for the most part. So you could probably answer this better. She's also our website designer. So
yeah, I try to figure things out as I go along. I'm kind of self-taught with a lot of things, graphic design related or just website related. So I'm always trying to figure it out or look up tutorials. But I would think one mistake that we had made actually for years is just forgetting about SEO. We're not experts in SEO, but I know that it's super effective. So just remembering to put the important keywords when you're naming your blog posts, just when you're writing copy in those blog posts, just making it relevant to your location especially. So just, Athens wedding photography or something like that. Just not forgetting to include that. Because when you forget to do that, or even forget to rename images, then you'll notice a difference too. That when people are searching for us, it's just our page isn't in the top ranks, and so just remembering SEO and just how important that is.
We've literally neglected that side of things, I think, for years, and what we were experts at was the whole word of mouth marketing and local relationship building and some of that classic stuff, which I believe wholeheartedly is sort of the nuts and bolts core of building a strong brand, especially a local brand. But then, sure. Oh man, when some of our much smarter online, smarter tech oriented friends just showed us some of those basic things, I think I'd always been intimidated by the idea of, SEO, I have to now be a professional in this. Just to make it work, but just doing the basics, the hygiene of renaming our images and everything. It's been amazing. I mean, we just did it with the redesign of our site in these past few months, and really, you can over a matter of days, like plug in your web address to some different tools and sort of see how it climbs. And in days, it just climbs. And I think so many people just don't do it, and that's why they're not succeeding up at the top.
Yeah. So would you say that the one change that you made to your website, which has a major impact on your business, is adding in doing the SEO stuff when you do the redesign after the mistake of not doing it?
Oh yeah.
I think it was huge.
And how about just with the homepage and everything? Like you started putting in some keywords and things in there for the first time ever.
Yeah. So just even what you name your homepage, things like that, even just what you write on that homepage, all of that factors into their algorithm, in Google's algorithm. I don't even know if I'm saying the right word, but something like that. It's just super important, and it's also free for you to do. It does take time, but it's something that you can that you can implement that is free. You don't have to spend any money on.
Yeah, there's so many marketing strategies that I know, especially early in our businesses as photographers, we're kind of trying everything. Most of us are distracted by, we want to be the king or queen of social media, because if we have 1 million followers, I know business will become easy. All that stuff, we're like throwing paper against the wall, trying to see what sticks, trying everything. There's a lot to be said about that 80-20 principle. Find the 20% of all the ideas that will really give you 80% or more of your results, and focus on those few things. And SEO is one of those things. I mean, renaming pictures in particular is one of those things that it feels mundane, and so I wasn't doing it. But it's one of those things that makes the big difference. So certainly it helps a lot.
Awesome. So what is a change that you made to your business overall, which has made a big impact?
I guess we would call it our turning point. The big shift in our business happened 2 years after we started. Told the story. We started our business on accident, essentially, and it took off. Man, like we felt like we were living the dream, because I would, if I could hear listeners' reactions, I think all of us would say that one of our goals is to go full time. A lot of us are part-time photographers trying to escape the day job, the second job. And for us, within that year, we went full time. Did not see that coming, and it was so exciting. Like all of a sudden, we had 20 weddings booked, and all of the retainers had been paid to us, and we're shooting engagement shoots all the time. It all hits the fan, kind of, to the point where there's no time in our life We had to quit our other jobs just to keep this thing rolling. And we did that, as kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, naive young people, and hadn't run any of our numbers. So we didn't realize that we were doing a whole lot of work. We were working throughout the whole night editing images. Our new marriage was suffering because there's no personal time together. And yet for all of that, after a year, we realized we're not going to be able to pay our bills because what we're charging, the cost of doing business, the math doesn't add up. And so we got to a point within probably a year after that where all of our friends think we're living the dream, and we had thought so too. And then we realized, okay, this is kind of sink or swim time. We either have to make a huge change or we're going to have to go back to our old jobs. And so that was kind of a messy time in our lives as well. We had gone through some just personal grief and trauma. We had been so excited because Eileen was pregnant for the first time. I was able to go with her to her OB appointments every day and like listening to our baby's heartbeat and watching her grow. And then one day, that appointment, we go in and we just don't hear that heartbeat anymore. And so just all of a sudden, I think in my mind, I was just kind of processing, what matters anymore. Like all these plans and thoughts, ideas we had about the future were no longer a reality. We didn't know if our business was going to survive the week. And we just decided we had to step back and make a big shift in our business. And so for us personally, that was get away from like sacrificing our life on the altar of business and just trying to pay the bills and everything. And let's do what's important to us in our lives. And for Eileen and me, that just the way we were raised and throughout our lives, that was charity and mission work. And we decided let's get back to that, whatever it costs. So at that moment, we decided to kind of dig into our meager savings, the little bit we had laid aside. And we actually, we had done no video at that point. It was still early, not everybody was doing video yet. We didn't even have iPhones or anything. So we had never recorded any kind of video clip. Mm-hmm. But we heard about this ministry, this organization doing amazing work in the slums of Guatemala.
Yeah, rescuing boys from gangs and giving them a new life. But little was known about this organization or the people who were running it and the work they were doing. And they asked us to make a short promo video just for their website. So just 3 or 4 minutes of video so they can put up on their website. And we, like Phillip said, we had not even done video at all before. So we ordered all this video equipment that arrived 3 days before we left on a plane for Guatemala. So rushing to just learn the equipment and familiarize ourselves.
I'm one of these guys, I don't read the instruction manuals, but I'm telling you, like, I had these manuals in my bag in the airplane, like pouring through them. How am I going to do this?
It's one of those things like, how does osmosis work? Like,
right, exactly.
That's kind of what it was
them in your
like.
Pillowcase.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And then we got down there and, they knew this, pro bono projects like this are a great way to learn skills because if you're honest with them, like we just told them this may not work, mm-hmm. but we would love to help you and we're going to try our best and we're doing it for free. So no one's going to complain.
Right.
And so the video was much more accessible than we had feared. Mm-hmm. And what was meant to be a 3-minute or 4-minute promo video to help them out ended up being a feature-length documentary film that we got after we came back and learned how to edit video together. Mm-hmm. We ended up traveling with that film in 30 states all across the U.S. and helping this organization grow and become and sort of succeed more at what they were doing just through support and recognition of what they were doing. And we continue to work with them today, years later, in some exciting ways. I don't want to get distracted by now, but I'll tell you later. But that was just, I think, mind-blowing to us, and we realized how powerful visual media is. All the same, we got back home and we still couldn't pay our bills. In fact, we were poor for having done this project. And so that's when we decided, okay, let's stop trying to run our business creatively like artists. We'll continue to be artists when it comes to taking pictures. We need to run our business with proven principles. Eileen was a business major, and for some reason up to that point, we had not fallen onto that expertise or thought much about it. So we continued to learn and dig into that, and that's when you get into the trenches. that's really when you start to learn. Not just what you learn in school, right? But when you put that into practice. And so we decided we're wedding photographers. We can't like put all these new business principles into practice and then wait for a year out for the weddings that we book to see if it works. We've got to do something now to get income flowing. And so we created very strategically. We didn't do it like most people do them, but mini sessions. We did a really strange twist on mini sessions, and we applied all these business principles to it, and it was successful, man. It was like a day and a half of mini sessions we shot and made $8,000, and sort of keeping our bank account afloat. And then we found out some cool ways that we could, without undercutting our normal length portrait sessions and family sessions or over advertising, we could actually sort of quietly market mini sessions just to specific groups in our market one at a time, and keep mini sessions flowing through our studio all the time, high profit ones, to the point that our sales average became higher for a single mini session than it used to be for a full wedding that we shot.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So and so it is. I mean, when you think about like, oh, if I could only shoot 15 weddings this year, and then you're like, or I could do 15 mini sessions in one weekend, and every single one of those sessions would be the equivalent of a wedding, that
one of our early
weddings, like basically, I think we're averaging maybe like around between 1,500 to 1,800 per mini session with this strategy. And so that was huge. That was the big turning point. Our highest sale on a 20-minute mini session was $2,600. I believe that was the high. So that just changed our business. It helped us become a official fastest growing business.
Yeah. And I do want to insert that, I guess, because listeners might be wondering, well, what was it that you implemented? So a huge difference was doing in-person sales. So starting out as a quote unquote shoot and burn photographer, where you just hand over the digital images, and then going back to what was important to us is just for families to go home with that physical, like, heirloom art product that they can pass down for generations. That was important to us, for them to have that. So that's what we implemented differently in our business.
And
right.
for everybody listening, the last episode 56, was Chris Scott from Swift Galleries was on, and we were talking about in-person sales pretty heavily the entire episode. So anybody who wants to dive more into in-person sales, definitely check out episode 56. I will link to that in the show notes. Awesome. So let's segue into a little bit about Show It, and because you do a lot with Show It, and I want to talk just briefly about what is Show It and what's its relationship to WordPress, because as I know this, and maybe some of the listeners do, but your website is Show It, but your blog is WordPress. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's the relationship between the two?
Yeah, so Show It is our web hosting, as well as what we use to design our website and blog. So it's a WordPress blog, but it uses a Show It theme. So what that means is what Show It is big about is just having a drag and drop website. You have a lot more customization with the theme. Instead of just a cookie cutter theme that you're kind of stuck with, there's a lot more customization with placement of things and sizing, which is what we really love about it.
And that's where it's really geared toward photographers more than anything, or other creatives, artists. There's all kinds of artists on the Show It platform, because whereas there's other websites like Wix, Squarespace that are kind of drag and drop, easy to build, but you've got your template and you kind of stick with that template, minor tweaks. Show It, you can start from scratch, or you can start with a template and just completely customize it.
Exactly.
And that's where we love to get creative, instead of like messing with our creativity when it comes to the business and the numbers. But being able to design your website in a way that really does show off your personality and does introduce the client to you in a personal way right away is really powerful. And it's so cool because, yeah, the WordPress blog side of our site, where so much of our content is, can look identical and flow completely through the rest of the site.
Right, you can match the aesthetics. So.
Yeah, so they make it really easy to do that. Yeah, it's great. So WordPress does have drag and drop capabilities using additional plugins. They don't have it's not built. Obviously, it's not built into WordPress. So it's where Show It, you just go to it and then you just move things around. WordPress, you need to now add a theme that is compatible with the page builder plugin, then go find a page builder plugin and install that, and then go. So it's a little bit more effort to do it. WordPress 5.0 will have a simpler page builder built in, which is slotted for April, but I doubt it's going to come out in April. It's not, that page builder is not ready yet, so I don't think it's going to be in.
Yeah, never count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah,
just kind of assume it's going to be a little delayed.
Yeah, they're kind of saying April, but I think they're just they're trying, but I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, so it it's platforms like Showit that's actually pushing WordPress ahead even further, because people want page builders, so they're actually building a page builder that is backwards compatible, which is really nice. So it'll anyway. So I've talked about this on the show previously so many times. I'm not going to go into too much detail.
What we love about working with a company like Showit is besides they're 100% focused on basically their software that allows you to design your website. But they're a small enough company that when you're working with them, the service, the customer service, and the one-on-one attention, the help you get is just amazing. And that you can have that kind of service and use it. It's really just since they created Showit 5, the newest version of Showit, in the past year, not only has Showit exploded, but it's really for the first time that using all HTML5 are you able to design your whole WordPress blog and site from Showit. So it's just all this power thanks to WordPress. It's a marriage made in heaven. We love it. We've really enjoyed the big change. It's been great.
Yeah. And they've got a nice community, and they've got their conference, and so there's definitely some advantages to using a Showit site, and especially because they're still, they're hand to hand with WordPress as far as that relationship. They're really tight as far as still requiring people to use WordPress for the blog, and so there's a lot of advantages to it. So this is a nice segue into the guest recommended WordPress plugin and or theme section of the show. So we've now talked about a plugin, some themes. So what do you recommend for photographers to check out? And this is probably going to sound similar because we were just talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Showit, I don't think of it as a theme per se, but you can go in there and get all the sorts of themes. They actually have some really talented designers who partner with them who actually provide. You can go through their store and choose a theme to start with, and they are numerous. One in particular, what is Jennifer's store called? The Tonic Shop?
Oh yeah, Tonic Site Shop.
Tonic Site Shop is a great place to get themes for Showit and the WordPress side of Showit design, and that's some of my favorite work in terms of theme. The templates and things. But then Yoast, which we just touched on earlier, has been really, we never knew enough to use a lot of plugins and things, but I'm fascinated by this Yoast plugin now, and it's awesome to know they're just updating to make it even easier for stupid people like me. So that's something that you've got to get in there right now. We've even been using it because I write every month for Shutter Magazine, and I like when people come to our site to be able to find all my articles and everything, but I don't want to repost my articles that are already on the magazine's website and it look to the internet as if we're copying ourselves or hijacking their language. So when I post articles on our site, I'm able to redirect the sort of the back end and say the original content is on the magazine's website, and I'm not going to be penalized and so forth. So there's all kinds of tools.
Yeah, I do that as well for all my guest posts as well. It's called a Canonical for anybody who's listening who wants to do that. The Canonical link is where you could say, if you did a guest post, for example, on Shutterfest or any website. So I write a lot on digital photography, .com and many other places. So like any articles that I will write there, you add the Canonical link of that article to your post. Then when you post it, it says to Google, yeah, I did write this it is on my website, but really I wrote it here. Here's the original link, and it gives all that SEO credit to the link that you're putting in the Canonical section.
Right. Yeah, it's great. So you kind of enjoy the best of both worlds. You're offering the content and the service, which if photographers are listening, we're adding just lots of educational material that's free on our website. We have a great community that's part of our through our website as well. You can like download our ebook and so forth and be part of that. But it's great that we can provide that on our website and without doing it under the table or harming those who we partner with from a online point of view. So yeah, I would never have known that was there. It's a great little tool.
Totally. So we have got a new section on the show. This is where Phillip and Eileen are going to ask you, the listeners, a question. And what we want you to do is go to the show notes for this episode at imagely.com/podcast/57 and comment with your answer to this question. Phillip and Eileen will be seeing the questions or seeing the answers to the question, and either they will reply if they have time, or I will reply. And either way, this is something that you can interact with us and everybody else who's listening. So please, Phillip, Eileen, ask your question and listen up.
Yeah. All right. So I think the best way to phrase this, because this is a big picture idea that drives our business every day and drives all of our decisions. And I think it's something we all need to ask ourselves daily. So our question to you guys that we'd love to sort of hear your thoughts on is, what is most important to you in your life? Not just your business, but what's most important to you in your life? And if you could design your business vision around that thing so that your business could help support that dream, that vision of yours, what might your business look like? That's something you can't just think about in 10 minutes and answer, but it's something that I'd love to know. What's important to you in your life? Maybe it has nothing to do with photography directly. For Eileen and me, that is on one side, adoption and fostering, having being an adoptive family ourselves, and also helping kids who are without families in the third world in places like Guatemala. And so that was completely separate from photography, we thought, but we found so many ways that it relates and actually can be a part of our business, and we can support those things with our business. So if there's one thing for you like that, what is it? Go ahead and name it, write it down, and then start the process of thinking how you can incorporate that, and these short, precious lives that we have, how can you make the most of that dream? So looking forward to seeing some of you guys' answers, and maybe even brainstorming with you guys a little bit on how that might be possible. We built a business that we found the charity we do actually helps support our business and grow it at the same time as our business can pour back into them.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's funny. So I met you guys because of adoption. As many of the listeners know, I am in the middle of adoption process. You have adopted, and so that's how we met. And it actually, so it touches me as well. And there's definitely a drive in me to do more with my business because of that, and to do more with that as well. So finding ways to incorporate adoption and family into everything I do is something that is one of my goals. And so it's fantastic. So please answer the question. Go to the show notes, just comment and share. So I'm going to include every place you can find Phillip and Eileen on the internet, their websites, their social media channels. They have a great ebook called Pose to Playful, from Pose to Playful. So please, you can download that as well. I'll link to all that in the show notes, as well as everything that Phillip and Eileen mentioned, all the different links. Thank you both for joining the show today. I'm so happy you were able to join, and I can't wait to finally meet you both in person eventually. It'll happen one day.
Forward to it soon.
So.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Scott.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You can find the show notes from today's episode, answer the question that you just heard, and where to find the Blumes at imagely.com/podcast/57. Until next time.
You've been listening to the WordPress Photography Podcast. To listen to other episodes and to subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more, please visit imagely.com/podcast.